are Uggs? They're sheep for your feet. I thought Uggs were just this one-off American brand that had a stranglehold on the sheepskin shoe industry in America. It turns out Uggs are actually the name of a type of shoe that's made with sheepskin or sheep's wool. It originated in Australia. It's not the UGG brand thing. The American UGG brand didn't come up with that name. They took it, trademarked it, started marketing it to the American Western consumer market, right? There's a ton of Australian sheepskin, sheep's wool, UGG shoe manufacturers that we just don't have access to because whatever, Google doesn't allow us to see them on a regular basis unless we're actually looking for them. And those Australian shoemakers manufacture a ton of really cute, well-made, 100% sheepskin wool shoes that extend that buying options for the American consumer, which is great because I wanted 100% sheep's wool lining inner and 100% sheepskin lining outer. I didn't want any synthetics or non-natural fibers touching the soles of my feet. And I didn't want to just buy the same thing that everybody else was buying. It's a little thing, but those Tasman UGG slippers are everywhere, and I wanted something like it, but I didn't want something exactly like those Tasman slippers. They just aren't kind of doing it for me in the looks department. So I selected these Halfies from UGG Since 1974. This video is not sponsored, by the way. I am just a really big fan of how these have held up. They look a little worn because I've off-roaded them a lot and they've gone a lot of places that no shoe that is marketed as a slipper should really go. I've worn them in the snow, on dog walks, on the farm, driving. They're a fantastic driving shoe. And I've had them now for about a year. They're warm and toasty in the winter and super breathable in the summertime. So the biggest plus of 100% wool lining like these guys have is that even if you mistreat them and wear them every day during the winter like I did, there's no stink issue. No stinky feet, no need to wash them. They just keep on trucking because sheep's wool has natural antibacterial properties. You can just continue to wear these until they fall off. Whereas I've had one of the ugly American style boots before, and even after a couple months, honestly, they started reeking, but that's just because the bacteria is sticking to those synthetic fibers that they use, right? There's a mix of synthetic fiber and natural wool. Hard pass. I'd rather have a non-stinky foot. Okay, so because these have a similar look to the UGG Tasman, let's compare these head to head on price and what they're made out of. First, we're gonna look at the UGG Since 1974. It's $127.91 USD. They've got a bunch of different colors. What I liked about it was I knew that looking from the website, their entire upper is 100% sheepskin and sheep's wool. There's no other filler products in there. That's all it is. And they're 100% Australian handmade. So somebody is stitching these together and the whole thing looks really nice. They're hand cutting to eliminate any natural blemishes like seed holes and scars. This looks and feels more like a crafted artisan product than what I find with the UGG Tasman. So with the UGG Tasman, it's $110. They do come in a couple different colors as well. But what I want to bring your attention to here is that UGG tries to make it seem like it's a positive that they're mixing fabrics, that they're mixing sheepskin with tencel. But in reality, you don't want that. It's not going to be as warm. It's not going to be as durable. I feel like the ugly American brand is kind of cheating the public by putting out shoes that are at least 40% not sheep's wool. Basically made out of cheap wood pulp, which is rebranded as tencel and still charging sheep's wool prices. And look, we could get into the intricacies of where each company sources their wool from, ethical animal practices, etc., which I will say here that both companies say that their hides are byproducts of the meat industry only, which just results in basically a zero waste system. All the parts of the sheep are being used. And while UGG from 1974 only sources their wool from Australia and New Zealand, and then manufactures only in Australia, the ugly American states for maybe sourced from Australia, Ireland, the United Kingdom, or the United States, but we know that they're manufacturing these shoes in China. And I'm no made in China hater. There are lots of good products that can emerge from a Chinese manufacturer. But with that being said, I've tended to see a lower standard of quality from these Chinese-made UGG boots. Loose strings, buttons coming off, faster wear and tear. You know, the website pictures look really nice, but when you see them in person, you're like, that looks different. But let's move on. I kind of forgot to take off the second shoe. You've just been seeing one, but here's the other one. They're kind of dirty because I'm out on the farm today, and you can see the sheep are in back of me. They've got some foxtails in them. Yes, these shoes can get wet, or in my personal opinion, these shoes can get wet. If they get wet, oh well. I feel good, and that's what matters. There is some staining, so that's literally just from me getting the points of my toes wet on dog walks. Oh, we have a rabbit friend visiting. He just ran up almost onto me. I did not waterproof these. I'll cover that a little while later of why I didn't waterproof them. But you can just take a wet towel and some light cleaner and kind of buff these out, and the water stains will go away. Why don't you waterproof them, you may ask? It's because the waterproofing formulation that is sold on UGG Since 1974's website is a fluorocarbon resin, and I'm going to insert here me explaining why I don't like that. Now, I thought this was a great idea when I originally bought my shoes from here. I was like, I need something to protect my new slippers from me four-wheel driving these shoes everywhere I go. The thing is, they don't tell you what this suede protector spray is. There's no mention of the ingredients. They actually kind of hide it, right? You can see the ingredient list right there. And it's just resin, isopropanol, preservatives. I thought, great, I'm gonna trust them. It's probably all natural. Wrong. When I got this, what's missing, sort of hidden there on the ingredients list, is something called fluorocarbon resin. So fluorocarbon resin is among the things that make up Teflon. This was so disappointing. I mean, I try to avoid Teflon in my regular life. Fluorocarbon resin is PFA. It's a hormone disruptor. Worldwide research shows that they contribute to almost every chronic disease. They're used in water-resistant clothing, so that's why if you spray this on your shoe is going to be water-resistant, but your shoe is also going to be something that you don't want to have in contact with your skin. I haven't found anything that I like in the meantime that's a waterproofer. If anybody has good suggestions, please let me know. I was happy enough with how the shoe was performing under different weather circumstances. So I just decided I'm not going to waterproof my shoe up to this point because I haven't had a better option. Because everything is nice and natural, 100% wool, until you put a fluorocarbon on it, and suddenly you don't want it touching your skin or your animals or your food, and I mean, what's the fun in that? Well, I don't know. I usually don't have my shoes touching my food, but you know what I mean. Regardless, I get these wet. I've never felt it go through the outer sole into my toe, and they don't get stinky, so I don't really care. It's working for me. Two other things you should know about shipping and sizing. The website lists Australian, US, UK, and then EU sizing. I was dumb, and I made the mistake of ordering US 11 instead of a US 9 because I mixed up my numbers, which ended up with the second tricky issue, which is return shipping. Return shipping from the US to Australia is pricey. It's between $100 and $200 to return these bad boys back to Australia. That gave me a bit of a yikes moment because I wasn't really looking to spend like close to $300 on this pair of shoes round trip. So I actually got in contact with the UGG Since 1974 customer service. I asked them, hey, is there a US warehouse that I could return these to, because it's going to be cheaper than me sending it directly back to Australia. They were really accommodating and they let me send it back. It cost about 40 bucks. I was willing to take that hit. It was my boo-boo in the first place for missizing myself. So would I buy these shoes again? Yes, in a heartbeat. I am actually dreaming of the day that I can get a brand new pair. I'll just wear these guys until they start falling apart. And then I'll probably get a brand new pair in the same exact styling because this color goes with everything. I encourage you to start exploring outside of the typical UGG the American or Ugly American brand, because I think it's worth it. The Australian brands are just doing a better job in terms of quality and durability. The price point is basically the same for a higher quality product. Go for it, explore a little bit.